It's really fair to say that every day something new happens to me, and I experience things that are new. Babies are born every day, things of that sort happen every day, but there's this old expression, there's nothing new under the sun. And I think that there's something to that, and I think that we need to realize that this is the case. And that's why I'm going to talk on the subject of Under the Sun on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics today. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Thursday the 30th of September of 2021. That means tomorrow we start that all new month of October. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Thank you for coming along today. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. And again, today the subject we're going to discuss is Under the Sun. And I'm going to go ahead and go through my notes really quickly to get you some idea of exactly what I'm talking about today. I think many have heard the old expression. I don't know if its origin is biblical. I know it's found there. What I do know is it's quite old. One might even argue ancient. There's nothing new under the sun. This idea runs pretty much directly counter to the idea of records of various kinds being set. So if somebody breaks the record for the 100-yard dash, that's, quote, something new under the sun, one might argue. The point is, though, either a record will be set or it'll stand for a very long time. In either case, that record works its way into antiquity. You can certainly argue that at some time everything was new, and I think that's a reasonable argument. I could get into the detail on that, but I'm not going to do that in this video. You can also argue that new things happen every day. As a child, the telephone in businesses and homes was just beginning to hit its stride. These days, cellular and other mobile phones, and let's face it, smartphones, are pretty much the norm. That said, pretty much everything someone has felt or dealt with has been seen before, albeit maybe under different circumstances. You're tired or sad? You can rest assured you're not alone or the first. True, your reasons are likely different, though arguments can be made that if you get to the root, even that's not so. Others have survived it. In all likelihood, you can as well. I'm not trying to belittle your pain or weariness. Rather, I'm offering you hope. All right, that's the end of my notes. Let's get myself set up, like I always do. And let's go ahead and get on talking about this. Look, you can argue, like I say, babies are new. You can argue that babies born at 21 weeks and days are new, and surviving is new. You can argue that babies being very premature and ending up being fairly well-balanced, normal children is new. And that the level of prematurity from which they can be brought to comparative normalcy is true. Right? You can argue all that kind of thing. You can argue that, as I say, the Usain Bolt's 100-yard dash or whatever it was, 100-meter, whatever it is, I don't know. But records were new. World records were new, whatever. But you can also argue that there are certain things that really aren't new. And your sadness and your anxiety and what you refer to now, even though it wasn't referred to in this way in past, as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, existed before you were born. Maybe the people didn't call it that, but they had it. They dealt with it. And some of them dealt with it in some pretty severe ways, such that it was referred to as things like shell shock, where people were being shelled by heavy artillery. And it literally put them into a position of all but fetal moment, right, where they curled up in a ball and somebody had to extract them from the situation because of the terrible devastation of it. And I want to say again, I'm not trying to belittle your pain or your situation by talking about these people that went through these things like Master Sergeant Roy Benavides did, right? And look him up if you don't know. He's quite the story. But I'm not trying to belittle your pain or your difficulty as a result. But what I am trying to do is offer you hope today. I want you to recognize something. I want you to recognize that chances are people have been through worse than you have and survived. Am I trying to say that in order to shame you? Not at all. I'm trying to say it again in order to give you the hope that if they can do it, the chances are pretty darn good you can too. Now, you have to be willing to fight that battle. You have to be willing to go up that hill. That's what has to happen. And if you're not, well, maybe you won't survive it. But the point is, can you? I think the answer to that is probably yes. I was listening just yesterday to the story of a young lady who grew up in North Korea to like age 13, I guess, maybe, by the name of Yeonmi Pak. And she went through situations and circumstances that would be considered hell on earth by many people. She was sold into sex slavery, you could argue, in China. She was then marched across the Gobi Desert. Brought across the Gobi Desert into, I forget where it was, Mongolia maybe. She then claimed asylum in South Korea, went to South Korea, went to school, and came to the United States ultimately, only to find that some of the craziness that was going on in her home country was occurring in the United States, even after she saw things that made it quite clear that that wasn't necessary or something that needed to happen. Nonetheless, it was happening. And the point is, Yeonmi Pak is an example of somebody who survived life in Korea. Many did not. North Korea, to be more particular. I guess she was in a village that was bordering China so that she could see the lights in China when she wasn't, but, when she was at home and they didn't have power. But the point I'm making here is really very simple. People have survived things that you cannot imagine. I don't say that, again, in order to shame you. I don't say it in order to belittle you. I don't think that your hurt is any less, that your weariness is any less as a result. And maybe that person has an even stronger constitution than you do. Maybe not. I don't know. That's hard to say. Maybe you'll find that you'll go through things that you would never have imagined. Maybe you'll never have your constitution tested, right? But my point is to say, those people made it through. They made it through. And there's hope on the other side, in my opinion. I know there are people who probably spend their entire lives in hopeless situations. And I'm sorry that that's true. But I'm just going to tell you now, there's hope. You can find hope. It exists. And you should continue to push forward even when you don't feel like it. And I'm just going to tell you, it hasn't happened to me often. I've been pretty blessed, to be frank with you. But there have been a couple times in my life when I thought the world would be a better place without me here. I'm just going to tell you that now. And I'm still often weary enough that I'll be happy when I leave this planet, and I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But for now, I'm here, and I do what I need to do, and I work ahead with the hope of a better future. I work to have a better life. And I'm not saying that it's all about the work. Some of it is just about, frankly, making it through. Some of it is just about living day to day. And that can be hard. And I'm not trying to tell you otherwise. I'm not trying to tell you life is always going to be easy. My life, by comparison to many people, has been comparatively easy. I've said this a number of times before, and I repeat it today. My life has been easy. It has not been a hard life. Yes, I spent a couple of years in the Republic of Korea as a military member. Yes, that's true. But to begin with, that was by my choice. And secondly, it was the Republic of Korea, not North Korea. You have to know that my life has been easy, and even so, there have been times when I felt like I could just give up today and be as happy as not. Maybe happier, right? But I want you to know there's hope. Tomorrow does not have to look like today. Tomorrow may look like today. The day after tomorrow may not. Life can, as I've said before, turn on a dime. And that's for the better or the worse, I'll acknowledge. But the fact of the matter is, life can get better. And that's my message for those folks out there today who are looking at things as really there's nothing new under the sun, particularly where it comes to emotions and things of that sort. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Thursday, the 30th of September, 2021. That means tomorrow will be, as I've said, Friday, the end of the week, as we, for most folks, and the beginning of the Sabbath, the 1st of October of 2021. I hope you're having a good day, by the way. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Almost did it again. Almost did the welcome again. And again, welcome if you're coming here now, but I hope that you rewind if you do. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on YouTube, and on the podcast. Remember that Rumble is my preferred platform. You can give me a boxing glove or a plus on Rumble for a positive feedback. You can give me a minus as a negative feedback if you feel the need to do that. If you're following me on YouTube, you can give me a thumbs up or a like, or a thumbs down or a dislike. So that's a positive and a negative feedback, again, respectively. Today's subject has been under the sun, and tomorrow we're going to talk about something that I wish a lot of people would think a little bit more about. The subject is It Only Takes One, and it has to do with the old one rotten apple can spoil the barrel type of concept, but we'll get into that tomorrow. Hope you're having a good day again today. Hope things are going well for you. I hope you're marching ever closer towards that weekend, and that things continue to go well for you where that's concerned. Hope that we have good times coming up for all of us in the future. It's looking kind of bleak in some regards, but I think that will work itself out, and hopefully we will see you again on Friday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Thursday, September 30th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.